obu ne hu ene ko bu nipa na ko be hu nyansa asam ne kra sa se bobo no ko be hu nyansa ho nya ho brase se o oman sabi we de ne ni kwa se me ye na me ye nso so eja asem we de nka anofom brejo ye say anofom brejo e ma abaye den eto ena me de asem we court tese na litigant usu ni mumra we no ye chief justice o woni mumra woni say constitution ni proper catch say something is should be done in camera no was me call court constitution o man emra pon ese in camera was me call court say court no say in camera no dem fa camera mesi so we no ye chief justice obi a wa bon say in camera kwa no dey call court constitution ni wu Torkornoo when na superior omo ya agejefo wabejejew na afei wo se wako ka asem ayenka na wo hwe wo anim na wo hwe wo ku anim na wo hwe do Mahama when no se fata se ono ya sobre de ado telesra no etimu na no he opa won ko de Héll baby oni filing fee kra no me di discount ma no because wo ko fie wa fa ten anko koro na mo boy ya mo ma ni bi na no de ko oni hwe ya ma ne hwe Mimi hukura said to Mahama say, "Wa mano sikaketi webi so fa mesi do Mahama."
No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law. No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
Under popularity, popularity as a word, there were two branches of words: fame and infamous. Obie nim say Osama bin Laden wajidi pa meboa sa the popularity no so we back from now we see we chere popularity ni mo is he famous or infamous? He is infamous. And so say obi e papa ne maame e di wako school Sebra never ye lawyer ni wa be ye lawyer ni wan na mu aba be ye judge obe ye judge no o mine sika afa won sase because wa dwen ye wo say wo Torkornoo wo bromra so enama yanwie ye mfa ye sen ye den enche okay wo de wa fa wo si yan winti yan mini na 1 minute ato yam uko program awa manone emra ne se de ubetimi aya ne se ubetimi ni security akọ security no yan kyerem se bema ana oba enti se opa obefa oba security ana obefa bema security so opese wuku ehia wo ye friend say program na se a na mokoba Atigya eno de enyo aban ne betwia eye wa asemwe se meme pa na se bi minu aba no ana se bi a me maame ana bi a mesuwa bi ana bi a me busuani bi no ena ni ngwase we ato wa na ka wakoda din anya bia sabi enimonyam kakra awanya no wo di akwakotena fie we say no o tente me say enen ka me baaye no nek ma be dan gune so aniwu a esun aniwu okukuo yi enya fe na me ba be gina bonten na masa chirechire nsemu because sabi anye bia no wo ma e wo manana no omunsu ba be nyini abete wa bakosem the former chief justice ode o man sika etwa train ticket ese twa pede ma ni kunu ene ne ma into that be no ye bo o man we history the first chief justice that was sacked Torkornoo sa bedru sa bre no bo si ye de info nyina to ne ya true history ne kama enti no so obekoso na say me answer in the learned certified lawyer and judge by all excellence par excellence now Torkornoo tipene bafu money e wodi emunim de ba mu obi a utimi ko church nsembunu say birth certificate enye source document etimi source document passport na birth certificate na wo no the source document agiwe edani patrim na wo de we e be toto bafo ni ho ade ya bafo boni ne Akufo Addo anya adwene say otro petition ba ma bona asema to agunti no mu di nani na wo enye Akufo Addo na sabi nani nyene ena sabi adwene no edu ba bia na adi ntinhyi a na bafo boni wo ho na wo ya be your chief justice bafo boni ndini wei nyansani wei papa ni monyamfo wei e wo ho na wo ya sign ho aba ba ya wu Torkornoo chief justice na e ya wo fe na unya atia gu ne so ya bo pani dia sabi wo hu do Mahama bi wo abusuo mu a wo papa wo ayi ya fe ne say kofobia sectek ade a okoye ya yi na die ye kro no wo papa na ye bojo Mahama dia wa sobre wa no ahwe nani wo sa ni monyam ni wei ebi wo fie wo ku na da wachi na he do Mahama na unya ya pam wo se kwotena fie a wo se menko won say ko file petition me ba we for the Hague opa onko the Hague e ho neso court ba ta wiase nyina court ba tan say ono ne ho ofe no ma ga na nya ho ofe na ye chief justice na ne ho ofe nti ye si ye mpe na ho ofe nti apam no e ho na ye baby on no dey so ni na mpe da ye obu ne ho ene ko bu nipa na ko be hu nyansa asam ne kra sa se bobo no ko be hu nyansa ho nya ho brase se o oman sabi wedi na ni kwa se me ye na me ye nso so eja asem wedi nka anofom brejo ye say anofom brejo e ma abaye den eto ena me di asem we court tesa na litigant usu ni mumra we no ye chief justice o woni mumra woni say constitution ni proper catch say something is should be done in camera no was me ko home court constitution o man emra pon ese in camera was me ko court say court no say in camera no dem fa camera mesi so we no a chief justice obi a wa bon say in camera kwa no dey court constitution ni wu Torkornoo when na your superior oh omo ya agejefo wabejeje na fe wo bo se wako ka asem ayenka na wo hewu wanim na wo hewu ku anim na wo hedo Mahama when no se fata se ono ya sobre de ado telesra no etimu na no he opa wonko the Hague baby oni filing fee kra no me di discount ma no because woko fie wa fa ten anko koro na mo boy ya mo ma ni bi na no de ko oni hwe ya ma ne hwe mi hukura se do Mahama say wa ma no sika ketu bi so fa mesi do Mahama ami egu ase ne tia do Mahama e mo ma ne ka pre o ma ni sika de be kwa akoye filing fee
ye hwe e 40 state asam kakra na
ai 40 state for ne de
on se be ka to say so we you won say be bra o mu
yabum na ka hu nyansa do ketu abi o e ntati abanyansa o we ntati abaye ka so kwadofo kontati anche me ko so na kwan na hu nyansa no ni ya ka chen Torkornoo
ayo
ye nyina minim say you follow the processes I lead to the removal of Chief Justice former Torkornoo edia bedru ba bia ya ba bedru. It's not as if say it just happened in a vacuum. This is idea it take a center stage a national conversation ema obia kan the obeka bia. The woman at some point in time had her own dissatisfaction. Emma Nisiki various legal if I'm saying ways I'll bet media stopping the process, you know. Or call court no bon 72 guye or sanko be court no bon 72 guye. The committee sat down in accordance with the provisions of Article 146 as espoused in the law. Emma committee no babontin in the Juma babontin. My president so yes oh yeah Emma nakwa kwatena fie. So in all this process, a certain constitutional process was activated, and the same constitutional process was followed through. And we listened to a lot of argument from other side that came up. One very popular has to do with the friend is saying Ghana Bar Association. We raise a whole lot of reservations around the process. But I'm not here as legal people. No people who assume that oh can't you raise issues of law. and some now can is grounded somewhere. What reasonable grounds to justify say indeed the process now is here no na end and I said something go wrong. But they could not pinpoint a single legal infraction cause so far as that particular process not happen here. And at the end of the day, the omuye any nyankwa nkosi aga. Ena maame na nkasa so no court my court said the mercy can born in same to go. And ya ba drew a point that we can all appreciate say the process na go through no was legally lawful, constitutionally lawful until anybody and I say any court of competent jurisdiction decide otherwise. So if this is the premise that we have, then the president is also mandated to nominate somebody as a chief justice in her place. And that is exactly what the president has done. And you see, Obia Betimiako court.
So the president hasn't aired.
No. There's a legal argument. Nobody has been able to pinpoint exact constitutional infraction that has occasioned that far. So far as the start of the process. Nina argument in a emotions. Oh, the in the future, the you see, in the room where people talk law, emotions don't have place. We are talking about premise your argument on a legal infraction and answer some contravention of the provisions that happen. Na yinjina some fan can no. Former Chief Justice Bekabi, she was just singing emotional hymns. She couldn't pinpoint exact constitutional offense infraction or occasion. So we are entitled to say otchere na na say Nemana president I lawful and it is within the remit of the constitution. Then he is also entitled to appoint another person. Set constitution, you will go through the same constitutional process, not parliament, validating, because that is what the law says. So, say obi our reservation about it. Yes, you can go to court and seek injunction to stop the process. But you cannot tell the speaker to stop the process because the speaker doesn't have the power to say or stop a constitutional process. A constitutional process, any idea between stop no, an injunction from a court of competent jurisdiction. So the question is, after marking in the group, have they been given that injunction? Has a court of competent jurisdiction, I will say the process has been injuncted? Because I'm
afraid not.
No court has. So you cannot just go and tell the speaker, say, stop the process. So speaker stopping the process. Another person can sue him.
Yes.
For say one neglecting the duty because he's supposed to. Because answer na beti imagine so I can say may injunct the process. It means you have legitimate grounds. And then the Supreme Court has also proven sufficiently to us say answer na beti stop it. A constitutional process in motion, you need to have reasonable grounds, justifiable and grounded in law. And Obakaya, Abra NDC and 6 other political parties, SU Electoral Commission, when your friend is saying, Abra na omoye registration or district centers, and Okaya, now almost one penny Electoral Commission be lower registration to just district centers. NDC and other people apply for way. That particular one, Electoral Commission went ahead and a year the other year. A court, the issue was already moved, so it became irrelevant. Then another important thing has to do with the passing of the e-levy. The president was saying once it has been approved in Parliament and president has assented, it's a constitutional process that is in motion. So court injunction or whatever, they are doing it. If you have an issue with it, you can go to court and nullify the whole process. So the speaker can go ahead and make sure that the man goes through vetting. So, and you can go to court. Court, that's all legitimate grounds. The court has power to nullify the entire vetting process. What I say, that is why a court, Emma say some of these competent, lawful constitutional requirements are injuncted on Parliament to exercise. No, administrative. Or minor. The court will not stop it because somebody says I should stop it. You need to have reasonable grounds. I will prove beyond every reasonable doubt to say. So, go ahead. Now say, Bafu Boni, you prove the injury that will happen to Ebia we seek, becomes irreparable, and there is nothing that you can do. It is only on that grounds, and a court in Majinaka said, then stop the process. Let's finish first. But besides, I say, you prove Bafu Boni. Now say, obey. Speak about Chief Justice injury bang at a occasion because he's also serving a role which is administrative, constitutionally mandated. He's supposed to do that. So you weigh the wishes and the demands of the Constitution as against the wishes and allegations being made by an individual.
Okay.
Court process, the allegation has not yet been validated by a court. So you cannot use that mere allegation or claims to injunct a constitutional process.
Okay.
That is why very often when President Akufo Addo you have LGBT bill no command say own sign or say own sign because our court. I sat here and I told you that the president was only playing games. No court and I said no injunction can stop the president from exercising his executive duties or exercising we. Now say who free say the exercise go beyond the remit of the law. Then you can use court to nullify it.
Right.
Okay. So that is the whole thing. Afenyo Markin and his people, they know this, but for them it's just cheap politics because the Chief Justice in the name of Ghana for and Namso Ghana for and I say committee no tenase examine all the processes in Nasa for. Yes, she's dissatisfied with me. Can the can be but some now all can say oh yeah dissatisfied. No, is it grounded in law? And I say, is it the absolute position that we must hold and stop a constitutional process? No reasonable judge will sit in the court and say, so I am stopping the vetting of your friend saying, and as I say, you inaugurated president. Now will be say, president, Yamfa and Papa Sona, ye stop it. Over election petition. The MPP, through their petition, wanted to stop your friend saying, the inauguration of President Mahama, because almost say, issue no court. Until say court in the issue now we know Mahama should not be inaugurated. Okay, as my court no can. The country cannot go a day without a president. You create a constitutional crisis. Asamna Wakano has not yet been validated. So because of uklema we make we cannot stop a constitutional process. An institution clothed with power, the electoral commission. I declare nipa on your president, until you prove otherwise, let the person be his president.
And if you have any problem, go to court.
Go to court. And if the court is able to prove beyond every reasonable doubt that indeed the process premised on something wrong, then the court will render the process invalid.
No.
What I say? Because I will negotiate a contract on the premise of fraud. The element of fraud beneath it vitiates everything. What I say? And to sanity, they can go ahead and your friend is saying, your friend says CJ. Now, so Obi, our issues with the process and the Torkornoo issues now. You can go to court, and if the court rule for you then you take your ruling to go and nullify or vitiate the entire process. That remedy is there. So I don't see why a federal market it's just unnecessary politicking or more here. And I'm worried because if you look at the state MPP women in parliament at this time, you would expect that they will use their number to do something sensible, not this kind of near multi-parliament or more, because they know very well, sir, Chief Justice the process was absolute, the process was followed through. There has been no contravention, nothing. That is why even Ghana Bar Association, as a law, your friend say, agency bar, could not even raise any issue of law, argument of law, infractions. But they were rather singing emotions. You see, we must begin to tell people, I put you in position of honor, sir. You own everything to the people of this country. So when you are serving them, serve them with due diligence. So I know the day, baby ba Ghana for and a can be amount. Now I don't know in public, both in everything. I know the day issue ba that's a particular constitutional process has been activated and you go through and you don't survive it. I know the day you don't blame anybody. And after all, she's not the only person I'll go through. And I'm shocked why MPP is still pursuing this particular matter. Do you know why? Because the whole show now, the whole show, sometimes you begin even to doubt the competence of the former Chief Justice. The whole process,
Doubt.
Yes, you doubt the competence because, and this whole thing makes the whole thing quite a bit funny. For instance, if you go to the Constitution, it is clearly espoused in unambiguous terms, very clear. Your friend say, the process Article 146 process must be held in camera. That is an absolute position of the law. There is nothing anybody can do about it unless the Constitution is amended. Then the Chief Justice goes to court and says, court, waive that particular thing and let me have mine on TV. Aren't you worried? Because for her to even conceive that notion, you know, is quite problematic. You see, Ghana, for issues...
The law is the law.
The law is the law.
And she knows the law.
And this provision in act is springing on us.
And the law must be applied always.
Exactly. It has a constitutional foundation. So you don't even raise that argument to say, Mama Media TV. So because judge now will be no, he doesn't have power to do that. That is why Justice Amadou Tanko in his ruling made it quite clear. Say, you are asking us to do the impossible. Because we as a court, we don't have the power to vary a constitutional provision. Because it is absolute. Where there is some sort of a lack of clarity on a provision, that is where the judge is enjoined to put interpretation on the clause. But this one, your case must be held in camera. Do you need interpretation?
No.
You don't need any interpretation on it. So a whole Chief Justice to make argument to say, you know TVs, you know, don't you anti-warrant.
Article 1468, you know.
Exactly.
Yes, all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera.
Okay.
And the justice or chairman against whom the petition is made is entitled to be heard in his defense by himself or by a lawyer or anyone of his choice. Good.
So Adia Okan and your act and your CI it's a constitutional provision. The foundation, you know, is in the constitution. So why would the Chief Justice ask you need the OTV? So then when you that particular young granting that relief, you know, then she goes on TV and the content of the petition, you know, she takes it on TV and read to people everything. Don't you think they were breachy? So now no make catch you say process na ye Chief Justice Adino. Say even say a copy say odi bema. Ade na oye no another grounds of incompetence, another person made me submit a petition for her removal. Yeah. Because you breach the constitution in the process of seeking this relief. You breach it. So at the end of the day, your competence, even you bring it to question. So because as a Chief Justice, we are grounded in law, we know. These are basic errors that you should not do. You understand? So for me, I think say politics na no, say seriousness be wom, na say ye operate with due diligence, your conscience. I'm not sure say anybody on the side of the MPP will be following this woman anymore because as I me by the pardon was saying, and what is say Omotiesi. Don't forget that Chief Justice a member of Judges Association in this country. Yeah. But what's your monk baby? What be why? Because the Mother Association is the Judges Association. What is our Makasada? So Ghana Bar Association, a mouthpiece no more woman. On one casa, the Kuba time or the judges and Ankasa are quiet, observing the process, and nobody has raised anyway. Now, what in China also be that? It's up to you.
Anti Anka say, Anamoa, Oman Penny, A2, Senka and Fambremwa.
Yes.
Anka Judges Association of Ghana.
Yes.
Anka Omaba Monte.
Obviously, somebody would have. Because on Winnie Panano, say, Omutia dis or Nusupiabi. Yes, and our son, I know the day, Namekatra man for say, you can't emra. We a lawyer, you don't interpret laws. We a lawyer, you are just trained to have a refined understanding of the law. But it is not in your place to interpret a constitution. So sometimes you see people on TV and a crossway or church, you opinion on what they told so. A judge is the only person that is, your friend say, engendered with the power to put interpretation on the court. We are judge, we are lawyer, the can be our drink. That is why election petitioner, Chachuchi Kata of all people to be solid and answer, make all the argument, we are not judging about Twagu. They are not because they say the law is at the bosom of the judge. The interpreting as a lawyer, you are.
You don't have the discretion.
No. Yours is to you see have a refined understanding
of the law.
Judge, it make sense to the judge or to me I do position to but you don't interpret laws. What I say, and we don't interpret laws. But you were trained to understand the law, and then they are not putting interpretation, which is the Judges Association. You think if something has gone contrary and come your man. So for me, this whole thing is politics. You understand? Mess it up because this short period, petition call a buyer or committee, there has been a catalog of incompetence and what display for me. I think there are grounds for another removal. So this particular issue, there is no issue. Oh no. Bafuboni should go and meet Parliament, go through the vetting. I don't know the Parliament Genutuma. Uncle Sono, the Chief Justice. But Torkornoo, there, she's a goner, and on knowing him that she can fight and for baby, because as long as she has not been able to prove exactly what occasion the wrong within the remit of the law, no dear. The other can be an emotional expression of whatever and or express it. And for me, I find marking and co, that is what they do. For them, politics is about being destructive, becoming a saboteur, stopping the process, and then as forth. On one said this particular thing, the anti-cromana, your friend say E-levy. Look at the kind of pressure some of us mounted on Parliament to say, don't go ahead and do it. Yeah, nearby on some more. Okujato and is it one other minister? Is it Haruna Idrisu or one other person took the issue to court? Omoneba Mohosono, no one jatumas and abayamra. The court sat aloof. You understand? By another, you want a court to your friends, a parliament, master of its own proceedings. Our court, no, to be directed by a court to stop the proceeding. So speaker, yes, and I'm not sure she's going to heed to those nonsense. No. But for Bonnie, the Chief Justice, because what we are looking at, say. Your judicial system, no. A bit nice once again because you know the kind of issues Ghanaians had about the institution called the judiciary. It became so dirty to the sense that they got them. Trust, confidence, so we take it upon ourselves that there is the need for us to revive the competence and the credibility of the judiciary. And that is exactly what the president is seeking to do. And a lot of people have been brought on the fold. Because in the past, the pushing some individuals into the place. People with known partisan ties were even pushed to become Supreme Court judges against the sensibility of the people. Because people are watching. Everybody in this country is politically sensitive. And the I contested on the ticket of NDC pen. Recently, I see in the past, it doesn't matter. But then people have become politically conscious. You fall Supreme Court judge. You may have all the knowledge in the world. You can say, I will be fair. But will people trust you?
No.
But in a governance architecture, what people don't get is not about just competence. It is about the trust and confidence we, the citizens, repose in the institution. Because at the end of the day, it is our trust and confidence that will make or that will guarantee your survival. It's not about police. If you go to any democratic state and you think police need soldier for and the bomb mine I'm saying bibi how kakra because I trust and confidence are nipa or more mine every post and a massa ade enigina. And we must always do everything to ensure say we guarantee public trust and confidence, and that's exactly what is happening. So we need to save the judiciary by making sure say Emma Ghana for any trust and confidence. And then we've out and within element of a portray incompetence and must be flushed out. Sabaya Ghana for will be clear on their mind. Say, I have an institution impartial, very neutral, very independent. I can rely on the judiciary. We live in a country where a man for professor obebu dia dance over court. Uno binya sama obefrant when your mabo diana we inside of court because the court process and people don't trust it. In recent time, we call social media. Look at the way the judiciary was being subjected to some sort of ridicule, public mortification. Unanimous this, ruling bad. They were predictable. People were even suggesting, say, the judiciary now could try better and for them. This mockery, people might think it's just opinion. No, aggregation of it reflected the trust and confidence public have in the institution. So we are serious as a president, and you take earnest measures to resolve it, just to build public confidence. Mahama Mokomani, she's the same woman who took pen and paper and wrote a list of people, say, President, appoint these people as Supreme Court judges. Isn't it a mark of incompetence? Because as a Chief Justice, you know the process. A judge of the Superior Court of Judicature, you know the process. And now, as a Chief Justice, now paper among 14, you circumvent all the processes, the consultative processes now you're involved now. You circumvent everything. Take a list and send it to the president and say, oh, I appoint you a man for. You are advertising nothing but incompetence. You are telling people that you are not fit for purpose. You can occupy that particular role. And there are enough grounds for you to be removed. Because these are sensitive positions. Because these are people who are clothed with the power to take away your liberty, your freedom. Adia, nipa dasani, very important to every human being who has so your liberty, your freedom. So once it is curtailed, everything has been taken away. So the person clothed with the power to take those things away from you, that person must exercise discretion that is absolute, that is powerful, and that must appear neutral. You understand? So I think going forward, these are some of the things that we must be guided. Baby, I to as Ghana Nibia will serve in whichever capacity, bear in mind. Say your allegiance is to the people of this country, your service is to the people, isn't to anybody who appointed you, the puppet, whoever who gave you power. No, Obana we are say, to serve that particular person. Trust me, when in Beguasi, and that's exactly the unfortunate situation that the Chief Justice found herself in. It's quite unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like she said, the law is the law, and that is the law, and nothing can be done about it. She's a goner. She must accept her fate and go. After all, Chief Justice Nenya Busunya Kumya. And Yasa Kumya, and I can say Nana Kumya near Ubiba no Biakona Rollins a crowd of him. So, Pardon Croma him. Oh, Chief Justice Bediatuo. Yes, Nipana would do almost one pelt. What is your problem? Just go. I keep telling people that never be comfortable at a place you are not needed. That's my basic principle. The people say they don't need you. So what is this fight for? You go and ply another trade. Chief Justice. You can go and be relevant in other fields as well. But Chief Justice in the Nema why and I think they were we and there is nothing that will bring her back.
I see. Auntie, Kwa Afenyo Markin, more Konya and more Mutuin and Enkusiak.
Oh, I said Afenyo Markin has been a beneficiary of Torkornoo's. Your friend is saying some of the bad discretion exercise for the first time on the parliament issue. Look at the lightning speed with which the Chief Justice set a date for that particular proceedings. The following day, so Okusiano or Demo Okusiano, anybody also not several parliament with the whole thing. Okay. Samreno. Now there were a lot of critical issues pending. As a president, as a OD was one year LGBT was one of them, and several other cases. So I know that when you do that, you demonstrate bias and certain affinity to the person. And hold on. And conventionally, I'm told at that time, Friday is quite Supreme Court. But surprisingly, out of the blue, she empaneled and they sat on that particular issue. It means you have a vested interest. Yeah, in the eyes of the people, because we were dealing with a Supreme Court at the time, in the eyes of the people, you were seen to be a neutral. So I know the day, if you are being seen as a neutral, then you validate the opinions and the perception people have about you. You understand? So as a sensible person, you don't do some of these things. But they were blinded by their greed. They were blinded by their unholy alliances and affinities.
As a sensible person, don't you think it's too harsh?
Oh, no. Because a sensible person is being the same as being a reasonable person, assessing all the facts on the ground.
I would have preferred that you use
no, it's the same thing. It's addiction depending on the choice you make. But the argument is that exercising discretion without thinking. You see, that is how it is. So I think the Amoyan is just politics. They just want to drag the process and create a certain impression, say something ill has happened. But the question is, what is the ill? Pontificate it and let's know. Because if you're able to prove a point, Adia committee illegal, I would never support an illegal thing. So bring the argument out. Let's just tease it. Now you who say indeed, process in that course was actually wrong. You understand? So the whole thing. For instance, the Chief Justice was saying, the premier first year establishment now ruling in Sanka. I mean, as a ruling bank because that Council of State and legal body. It's not an adjudicatory body. They exercise discretion by assessing the facts. Inform president. Yeah. So where lies a report, Ben? They are not supposed to give any report to anybody because it's a matter of exercising discretion. Looking at the face of the evidence that has been submitted.
But in assessing discretion, I believe they write reports. They will submit
definitely to the president. But that is not for your purview. Okay. And the mistake they made was that you see. The Constitution outlined the process that has to be followed. You remove a justice, and as a Chief Justice, and as a Justice of the Superior Court. What the Constitution failed to do is to establish a particular procedure that must be followed. So, Abra was a Chief Justice, and me lawyer. But about 5 years ago, I sat somewhere and I told you, this thing is going to be a problem. So let us come out with a legislation. Ever give us the procedure. So you establish a procedure. Now, this is what the Constitution says. But in implementing it, this is the process that we want to use. the president, no, Council of State, a casa will establish merita. The ruling must be submitted to this person, and it can be a subject of your friends saying a judicial debate in court. But you don't do all these things. You were chief justice busy around going about. You didn't. That was how we knew to me. And they said, just sit down
and think,
act reasonably, and make sure say you look for all the loopholes. Because this thing me met here, me who say a loophole long ago. Because the constitution is very vague. Very vague. Article 146 is very vague.
Vague.
So you construct a legislation and come up with a procedure. That procedure becomes a law. You use to make sure that we implement that particular constitutional provision. Now, one year, me inquire, na me papa inquire. They do any didiwa. Over catch me say, "Your mommy ruling." It doesn't make sense. You understand? And I don't say you are not the only person idea do. How many judges name for your mokro? President Akufo Addo, Justice Adorye and Co. Abra announced the assembly to almost almost year no. Committee no juma. They were suspended. Another day they were removed. So you are not the only person. You have suffered the fate of Article 146. The nipa no suffer in the past. Most of the process Torkornoo was part of it. She never questioned any of the process. And now the rules, you know, you say you sell yourself out, say you lack integrity, you lack credibility, you are fighting because it is you. But your brothers yesterday suffered the same fate. What did you do? Nothing. NDC pencil, Professor Melson appointed Loretta Mensah. I was Raj. MPP, people within the MPP, one Richard Nyama and Akwaye your friend say MP Bakomira Finidin, another prayer, submitted a petition to John Mahama. Say woman, you know, the Sikako or the hotel or Bob Mineka. Petition the same because among state is the same as one of the higher court we know. The same process was activated. The woman was removed. Nobody questioned the process. Even though Batamels appointed that woman, John Mahama, the same NDC government, got that person removed. The same principle. Don't you think the same principle should apply here? Yeah. So federal marking are just making noise, and that is what they do best. A Juma Parliament, you know, they are not interested. It's just about making noise, creating unnecessary kind of way around themselves. Because all that he's there to do is to be seen talking, and that is what he's doing. So for me, I think that the Parliament, Speaker of Parliament will disregard the process. Baffle Bonnie will go through the vetting, and at the end of the day, if she get a pass, she becomes Chief Justice. The Akabia is just noise and unnecessary way. Nobody should take it serious.
No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law. No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.